As I arranged myself in the narrow sleeper coffin, the hibernation gases gradually slowing my body's processes to a near halt, I closed my eyes, knowing that when I opened them 4 decades and 4.3 light years later, it would be to look at a sight no humans before us had ever seen. Wayfarer 1's automated systems were programmed to wake us a few weeks out from Alpha Centauri B as the engines fired and the ship began to decelerate. According to the mission specs, by the time the ship's velocity slowed to 0, we would be within visual range of our destination, a tiny, Earth-like planet known only by a registry number that might one day be a new home for humanity. I was born a century after an asteroid toppled the most powerful nation on Earth, and knew all too well how vulnerable our planet was to another such disaster. A larger strike could well mean the extinction of life as we knew it. Establishing a toehold on another world would only serve to increase humanity's chances of surviving into the distant future. But first, we had to find a world capable of supporting life. That was the mission my colleagues and I had accepted. We knew it would mean sacrificing anything like a normal life as our friends and relatives would age and die back on Earth while we traveled between the stars. But it was a sacrifice we were willing to make. We would be carrying life into lifeless space, the first humans to reach another star. It came as something of a surprise then, when I opened my eyes and looked up to see a trio of spacesuit-wearing dogs standing over me, their tongues hanging out as they barked enthusiastically. More surprising still, they seemed to be barking at me in English. Part 1. 1. My father was always a fan of science fiction books and movies, a taste no doubt inherited from my grandfather, so when I was growing up, I was exposed to a lot of it as a matter of course. Whenever a new edition of one of his favorite movies was released, Dad would insist that my brother and I drop whatever we were doing and join him in the family room. Watching the restored cut of Star Wars or a new scan of Forbidden Planet was to him a kind of communal activity that brought the family together. My mother, usually at the lab and occupied with her research, was naturally exempt from attending. But no excuse was sufficient to get my brother or me off the hook. It was only later that I realized that, when he himself had been growing up, watching these sorts of movies had been nearly the only common ground my father and his own father had shared. And in his own way, he was trying to ensure a sort of continuity with his own sons, cementing our relationship with him. As a callow kid, though, I'd only known that my father was forever interrupting me when I'd rather be reading my Earth Force Z manga or watching the latest episode of The Adventures of Spaceman. So while I myself had inherited a taste for the fantastic visions of science fiction, I resented the obligation.